Good morning, it's today again. Welcome back to Joseph's Reserves. I'm Joseph, and I store 20% of my income in the form of rare coins and precious metals. Silver builds your stack, but gold preserves it. At some point, every stacker asks, when do I stop chasing ounces of silver and start protecting what I've built with gold? And today we're going to break down the role of gold, when you should start stacking it, and how much of your stack should be in gold. Congratulations to Just Mike for being the first to comment on yesterday's video. Thank you for the support. Make sure you find Mike down in the comments to start a conversation. Stacking precious metals isn't just about accumulating weight. It's about building a system that works in real life. Silver and gold aren't the same. They shouldn't be treated the same. Silver is more active. It moves, it fluctuates, it gives you some flexibility. And gold plays a completely different role. It's a lot slower. Gold is more stable. It's designed for long-term preservation. And before we even start talking about gold or when you should start stacking it and how to decide how much of your stack should be in gold, we need to understand gold itself. We need to understand its contrast between gold and silver. Once you understand gold, your entire strategy starts to make a lot more sense. So when we take a look at silver, silver moves. Silver is active, it's responsive, it's constantly doing something. And you can buy it regularly, you'll watch the price, you'll think about the premiums, and sometimes you even think about when you might sell it or trade it. Silver feels alive. It's the part of your stack that you interact with the most. But gold is different. Gold doesn't move the same way, not just in price, but in purpose. Gold sits still. And that's not a weakness for gold. That's exactly what makes it valuable. Because at some point in your stacking journey, everything changes. You stop thinking only about how to build your stack and you start thinking about how to protect it. And that's where gold comes in. Gold is where the value goes when it's done moving. Think about that for a second. When you're stacking silver, there's motion. You're accumulating, adjusting, learning, and reacting. There's energy in the process, but gold represents the moment when that energy settles into something more permanent. You don't stack gold to flip it. You don't stack gold to spend it casually. You stack gold to hold purchasing power over the long periods of time. And that's why gold has held its place across centuries. And there's something even deeper behind that, too. Think about this. Throughout history, royalty wanted gold. Pirates spent their entire lives searching for it. And even today, governments and central banks are still stacking it. That doesn't happen by accident. Gold is one of the few things that has maintained value across completely different systems, cultures, and eras. Empires have risen and fallen, centuries have come and gone, entire financial systems have been replaced, but gold has stayed. Kings valued it, explorers chased it, and today nations hoard it. Even today, in the world filled with digital assets, complex financial instruments, and instant transactions, gold is still sitting in vaults as a reserve asset. That tells you something very important. Gold isn't just money, it's trusted value. It's what people turn to when they want something outside of any system, something that doesn't rely on a promise, a platform, or some counterparty. And when you start to see gold in that way, it changes how you treat it. You stop thinking of it as something to use, and you start thinking of it as something to keep. So then, is gold just something that you buy and never sell? Well, no. But once you understand how long term of a play gold is, the next step is understanding what it actually does inside your stack. So the first thing gold does is stabilize everything. If you've been stacking silver for any amount of time, you already know how it feels when the market starts moving. Silver can be volatile, and it moves quickly, sometimes aggressively. And those moves can feel exciting on the way up, but very uncomfortable on the way down. That volatility creates an opportunity, but it also creates stress. Gold behaves differently. It tends to move slower. It doesn't react as sharp, and because of that, it acts as a stabilizing force inside your overall stack. More importantly, gold stabilizes you. Because the bigger risk in the stack isn't price, it's your reaction to the price. It's panic selling when the prices drop, it's overconfidence when everything spikes, and it's consistently questioning your strategy. Gold helps reduce that. It gives you something solid, something that isn't constantly demanding your attention. And that stability allows you to think more clearly and act more intentionally. The second thing gold does is define your deep stack. A lot of channels talk about the deep stack or putting something farther back in your safe. All that really means is that you're not wanting to sell it. On this channel, I share the idea of a surface stack, and that's your flexible layer. It's what you can sell if you need to. It covers emergencies, unexpected expenses, short term needs, or facilitates a trade. It's important, but it's meant to move. And your deep stack is different. That's the part of your stack that you don't want to touch, the part that represents long term thinking, the part that you build with intention and plan to keep it for the next couple decades or even transition it to your heirs once you're long gone. Gold sits in the center of that deep stack. It's not there for convenience, it's there as a function. If your stack were a structure, silver would be the working levels, the parts where you interact with, adjust, and build outward from. But gold is the base that everything rests on. The third thing gold does is store your time and energy. Every ounce of gold represents something real. It represents hours worked, money not spent, and it represents discipline over time. Gold is compressed effort, and that changes how you think about it. When you hold gold, you're not just holding value, you're holding the results of decisions you've made consistently over time. And that's why selling gold feels different than spending cash. Spending cash is easy, it's instant, it's almost automatic. And silver forces a pause. It makes you think, it makes you ask, is it really worth it? And that pause can protect you from making decisions you might regret later. All of these ideas together, the stabilizing effect, the deeper stacking, and the pause before selling gold, can create something kind of like a financial gravity, something that grounds you. Without gold, it's easy for your stack to become too reactive. You might find yourself constantly adjusting, buying dips, watching premiums, reacting to short term movements. But there's always something happening, and that can turn your mindset into a short term mindset. Gold will slow that down. This idea of staying grounded in your mindset while stacking, it'll pull you back towards the long term thinking. It anchors your strategy in something more stable. Instead of simply wondering, what should I buy this week, you start asking questions like, what is my stack going to look like in 10 to 20 years? And that is a powerful shift because that's when stacking stops being reactive to the right now market and starts becoming very intentional. And the last thing that I'm going to say that gold does within your stack is it can be used for major life decisions. Gold isn't meant for the small problems. That's why you have silver. The everyday flexibility, the mid-size expenses, emergency situations, sure. But gold is different. Gold is reserved for significant life changes, major transitions, huge opportunities, and life level decisions. You don't break gold casually. You break gold when it really matters. And that's what gives gold so much weight. This gold can be used for a new car, a new house, a new life opportunity like moving to a different country, but it doesn't even have to be your life. The thing is, gold has far outlasted so many lifetimes. Imagine if you were turning 18 or 25 and you found out you inherited large amounts of gold that can change your life forever. Of course, you would want to make sure you understand the gold and figure out why whoever passed this down to you held on to so much of it. But that gold is going to be able to set you up for an entirely different life. And that is the type of generational wealth that gold can offer. So, what does all of this mean? How can we actually get gold in our stacks? And what type of strategy should we use when considering how much of our stack should be gold and how much should be silver? Well, the first thing you need to realize is gold is not where you start. Most stackers start with silver, and that's exactly how it should be. Silver helps you build your foundation. It allows you to accumulate consistency, it gives you the flexibility, and it creates a surface stack that you can rely on if something unexpected happens. Not only that, but a small mistake in silver might cost you a few dollars, where a mistake in gold could cost you a few thousand. So start with silver, become very confident with buying your precious metals, and then go into gold. So then you'll have your foundation all set in place, and that's when gold starts to make sense. Gold doesn't replace silver, it's not a competitor, it complements it. So once you understand that, you'll realize that your strategy should not just be get all the silver you can and sell all of it to trade into gold. You're going to want to own a little bit of each. And that begs the question, how much gold should I own relative to how much silver I own? And that's where it becomes extremely personal. There's no universal answer because the right balance depends on you. It depends on your risk tolerance and, more importantly, your emotional response to volatility. Some people are completely comfortable with silver's movement. They see the swings as opportunities. They don't stress when prices fluctuate, and they're willing to ride out that volatility. This person will likely have a lot more of a heavy position in silver. And to put that into perspective, let's say someone had a $1 million stack and it was 95% silver, so $950,000 worth of silver. If silver was to drop 30% relative to a 5% move in gold, their entire stack would drop hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this is not unusual for silver. Of course, this is a very extreme case, but my point is that if you have such a vast majority in silver, you're taking on a whole lot of risk. And some people are okay with certain amounts of risk while others are not. And the same case is possible on the other side. In that same stack where 95% was silver, if silver was to run up 20% while gold only runs up 10%, then there's technically a 10% difference in how much value was gained in that stack. So this is where individuals will have to start weighing their personal risk versus reward. Certain individuals will feel volatility more strongly. Large swings will create stress and uncertainty or second guessing. For those people, gold becomes even more important because gold reduces that emotional pressure. It provides stability and it gives you something in your stack that feels consistent. What's important to understand here is that there's no perfect ratio. There's not one balance that would be perfect and perform the absolute best. The thing is, it's what allows you to maintain consistency over time. It's what allows you to be comfortable in the stack that you have and what allows you to stay emotionally secure in times of volatility. And of course, that's going to change as different things in your life happens. Usually, as individuals age, they'll want more of the stability, they'll lean heavier into gold. It becomes less about accumulation and more about preservation. And that's a very natural process. At the end of the day, what it really comes down to is understanding the different roles that they play in your stack. Silver is active and gold is still. Silver helps you respond to the world, and gold helps you stand apart from it. Silver is what you use, and gold is what you keep. And once you understand that, once you truly understand the role that gold plays, your entire strategy will become clear. Because now you're not just stacking metals, you're building a system that grows, stabilizes, and lasts. If you haven't already, go check out my It's Today Again coffee at josephsreserves.com. Every morning is a gift. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, today. It's Today Again is a reminder that God has given us this day once more, with new mercy, new opportunity, and real work to be done. It's the moment to show up, build good habits, and take hold of what's been placed in front of us. Whether it's putting in the work, staying disciplined, saving consistently, or simply choosing to be faithful in the small things, today is where it starts. Encourage one another daily as long as it is called today. Hebrews 3:13. So take a break, take a sip, and let's get to work. You can now write to me at my P.O. Box, Joseph's Reserves 10160, Highway 242, Suite 800, number 401, in Conroe, Texas, zip code 77385. If you like today's video, make sure you go down and give it a thumbs up. Go into the comment section for any questions or comments, or to start a conversation with either me or someone else down there. Share the video if you know anyone that might like it, and subscribe if you haven't already. But most of all, thank you so much for watching. And just remember, every ounce adds up, so no matter how small, just keep stacking.